Hello. Welcome. We're finishing Surah 5.
Yes, we are. It's going to be the end of Surah 5.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And I can't believe you didn't do that with me.
No,
wow,
I didn't do
rude.
it with you.
I got scammed. I got bamboozled by Chris and Ruben.
Actually, I think you did a really good job.
I got bamboozled is what happened.
I don't know which one's laughing or applauding, so you can assume that you're doing a good job and you're getting bamboozled. There you go.
Okay.
I bamboozled you.
Yeah, you did. What a bummer.
Wow.
Anyways.
Welcome, viewer.
You know, I'm reading out of the Quran Project and the Study Quran and the Penguin Classics Quran.
And I guess both of us, whenever we want to. This is, we have a thematic commentary on the Quran from Shaykh Muhammad al-Ghazali. We have Qurans from Abdullah Yusuf Ali and Maulana Muhammad Ali. We also have the Quran and the Bible from Gabriel Said Reynolds, which is sometimes very helpful and sometimes not helpful at all, actually.
Gasp.
It seems to be very picky and choosy about which things he wants to give commentary on. By the way, we are finishing this surah today. And since we are doing 95 through 120, I got it in there anyways. I should find that page.
So let me just hop into this right away.
Oh yeah. This is so the section that we're doing today.
Did you share the stream?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So I'm sure you've heard this claim before. That's a very nice hat, Chris. Chris just put on what resembles a hat. It's not quite a hat, but it resembles one. So I'm sure you've heard the claim that Jesus was a Muslim.
You know, I have heard the claim.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's incredibly anachronistic. And what they're talking about is not like, the religion in its modern form. They're talking about following like that perfect unadulterated faith that was initially given to Abraham.
Do you think Jesus was a Muslim?
No.
I think Jesus was like
Jewish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know those faith healers who pretend to exorcise demons from people?
I don't.
All of them, yeah. Every single one.
The
I
worst,
think they're doing a good job. What do you mean
worst
pretend?
kind of preachers. Like the worst ones out there. I think that's basically what Jesus was doing.
Like the whole Peter Popoff shtick?
And the miracles wherever he goes, right?
Yeah.
That exorcising demons.
Sure.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
It's very like con man.
It was, but from at least the stuff that we're told in the Gospels, he didn't seem like a really rich guy or anything.
No.
But either way, he wasn't.
He didn't need money because he had followers who would just go grab him whatever he wanted.
Yes, of course.
He's like, go grab a donkey,
and they grabbed the donkey.
They grabbed the donkey.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he didn't need the money because people were stealing stuff for him. That's a good point, Ruben.
Social influence and social influencers, they do that sometimes.
They
They're
do.
just like, yeah, I want a pizza. One of my followers, please, order a pizza for me.
I think they actually have an app where you can buy people food specifically.
Credible.
I forget what it's called, but it's kind of like.
I wish our followers would order a pizza to us.
For us, yeah, that would be cool. Maybe we should get one of those links.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. I'm gonna have to look back into it, but it would be kind of cool to be like doing the show and then someone be like, "Hey, you just got a pizza."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if we had like a viewer.
I'll clearly accept your pizza, right? Anyways, why don't I hop into the Quran?
I think I partially blame this on Kip Davis actually, because he's streaming right now. I think.
Kip, you can't steal our viewers.
Yeah, he's probably stealing our viewers right now. That's what's probably happening.
You can't do it.
I'm gonna go yell at him.
The timing of your stream.
Yeah, I right exactly. Yeah, he's still doing it. Ah, man, what a prick.
Tell Kip he's gotta stream a couple hours later or something.
Okay, well, are you ready to read a little?
Yeah.
I'm ready to read. So let's hop into it. Oh, you who believe, slaughter not any game while you're in a state of pilgrim sanctity. And for the one among you who slaughters it intentionally, a recompense of cattle, the like of that which he slaughtered, as judged by 2 just men among you, as an offering brought to the Kaaba, or the expiation of feeding the indigent, or the equivalent of this in fasting, that he may taste the evil consequences of his affair. God has forgiven that which is past, but whosoever relapses, God will take vengeance upon him, and God is mighty, possessor of vengeance. Let's talk about this in practical terms. So let's say you take the fasting route,
Sure.
right?
Is it the quickest? Well, get it?
No,
I get it.
it's not
It's
the
fasting.
quickest,
Yeah.
right? But you take the fasting route. How many pounds of meat can you get from a wild deer?
I mean, I have no idea. I haven't.
Probably enough that if you add it all together,
You can feed yourself for quite a bit.
yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh dear.
if you had to fast for that entire time, that you could theoretically feed yourself off of one deer, that's a long period of time. But here, the ban on killing game while in a state of pilgrim sanctity is clearly stated, is understood as applying to those making either the major or the minor pilgrimage, the Hajj or the Umrah. It is the actual taking of life of a living animal that is prohibited. And thus, if other pilgrims were to eat from the killed game, no repentance or expiation would be incumbent upon them. One is permitted, however, to kill an animal not for food, but because it's immediately threatening to human life, such as a lion, a wolf, or even a scorpion. This verse was reportedly revealed after one of the Median helpers made the lesser pilgrimage in 628, during which he killed a wild donkey. The verse establishes that expiation is required from one who violates this ban on intentionally, that is, not accidentally, or because he has simply forgotten that he is in a state of pilgrim sanctity.
Okay, so yeah, this is it would make you kind of unclean if you kill things, especially while you're like in your holy garb, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is, I think we've gotten stuff like that. We got stuff like this in the Bible, right? Where you're not allowed to, or only like, you know how certain people are like allowed to sacrifice something, or or you know how like women aren't allowed to participate in things when they're
Right.
you know
When they're menstruating,
Right, yeah, they're not allowed to
do
participate.
much of anything.
exactly, because like blood just like is thought to like taint everything.
Mhm.
So
You ruined it.
yeah.
You being filled with blood and all.
Exactly. No, seriously, this is causing me an issue. I hate this fleshy prison.
Oh my gosh, are you one of those skeletons? Oh man, that's a good joke.
Also, see, the moment hello everyone, welcome in. But the moment I went to Kip's stream, I was like, dude, you gotta knock this off. You gotta cut it out. I don't even know if he saw it or not because I didn't have the volume turned on. But I just let him know that he had to end the stream because we're here now.
Wow.
That's when people showed up. So
Yep.
obviously, I'm
We
now
just
siphoning his
sniped
viewers. Damn straight.
Yep. Which we ought to, because he chose to stream at our streaming time.
Yeah, he did. That's what you get, Kip.
We should copyright this streaming time.
Jesus.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Not a real thing, man.
Just came from Kip's stream. Damn straight.
Yeah, see? Anyways, let's continue on. The game of the sea and the food thereof is made lawful unto you, an enjoyment for you and for the travelers. But the game of the land is forbidden unto you so long as you remain in a state of pilgrim sanctity and reverence God unto whom you shall be gathered. So here clearly you're allowed to eat fish.
Yeah. This seems to be something I think the thing is you would be actively be allowed to like go fishing.
Right.
So
Go
like
fish.
that anything from the sea, like any seafood, would not be tainting. But killing the other stuff would be.
Mhm. I guess the justification is that when you reel it in, right? That's not killing it. It suffocates on its own.
Sure, that could be it. Or it could be that it's just, filled with less blood generally. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, compared to, a lion,
Your lack of
there's
knowledge.
far
is
less blood inside of a fish.
funny.
Mhm.
I have no idea. Though.
God has made the Kaaba the sacred house to support for mankind, and the sacred month and the offerings and the garlands, this that you might know that God knows whatsoever is in the heavens and whatsoever is on the earth, and that God is knower of all things.
Okay.
I
That
didn't
got a
know
little
that.
confusing. It's like, do they know that we know? The sacred
what?
month and the offerings and the victims with garlands. That is that you may know that Allah knows
Mm.
whatever's in the heavens and whatever's okay. So yeah, this is just him being all knowing.
So all this stuff is like a reminder that God knows everything that you do, right?
I knew
all of
that.
Oh, interesting. Here's a comment where it says that he has made the Kaaba. So the meaning of Kaaba is swelled or become prominent.
Mhm.
It's so called because of its prominence. So he didn't just make it; it's that he like made it a like this important destination.
Mm-hmm. Know that God is severe in retribution and that God is forgiving, merciful. Only the proclamation is incumbent upon the messenger, and God knows what you disclose and what you conceal.
So yeah, in this translation, it does. Sometimes it uses the messenger, and the other one says apostle. 'Cause that's what apostle mean. Well, no, apostle would be like someone sent out, but
Yeah.
but someone going to deliver a message.
Um. Yes. God's knowledge of the unseen is repeatedly mentioned in different ways throughout the Quran. His knowledge of what human beings disclose and hide of their own thoughts and nature is mentioned specifically in a ton of different verses. Oh wow.
Also, women, yes, that is something I have heard. The idea is that not just that we start off Muslim, is that we start off as angels who obviously are Muslim, and then we decide to live this life as a test to ourselves. And then if we pass the test by, of course, believing in God and being super faithful at the end, we would get more glory in heaven because, because angels don't have free will, which then kind of begs it's not begging the question. I'm using that wrong.
It raises
it raises the question that how do these angels decide to take up this life?
Right. How do you decide to take a test if you don't have the free will to decide to take the test?
Right, yeah. That is at least to my understanding that we get to decide to take the test beforehand, but I could be misremembering that. But yeah,
I mean, you could say that it's like a special exception,
Maybe.
but that's literally special pleading.
also, yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Which is something that like religion boils down, or arguments for this stuff usually boils down to one of two things: special pleading or the argument from ignorance. Like at the very root, it's all those. That's it.
It's really disappointing that when's the earliest?
Yeah, it's exactly like eating that fruit before you know it's good or evil. How do you know it's bad if you don't have the knowledge of good and evil?
Lawrence,
Well, it looks really rotten. I wouldn't eat it because it's filled with like worms.
Right, yeah.
Both of us being double major, like,
Oh, sure, yeah.
you are the more ancient history Bible kind of guy. So what's the earliest estimation, realistically, that we would say that Judaism in any recognizable form of Yahwism shows up?
Probably around the 5th century BCE. If you're talking about like any form remotely, then it would be around that time. That would be at a time when I would say, yeah, I guess you could call it Judaism. But there were still plenty of developments afterwards. So like obviously, like up until through the 2nd century, you could see further developments when they got all apocalyptic. And then you could see even further developments in anywhere between like 200 and 500 CE, where we have a big concentration on like rabbinical literature. So that would, at that point, would be even more recognizable.
So basically,
but like if you're talking about any form of Yahwism, yeah, it would be.
So basically like a 500-year span from Judaism to the start of Christianity.
Sure, around, yeah.
About, which is not what Judaism claims, right?
Right. They claim it way older, yeah.
Right.
They claim it's so much older. It's not, sorry.
But assuming that we've had 2,500 years of this monotheistic, vaguely Yahwistic tradition, and there's been no good argument in the entire history of the tradition.
And the thing is, it's not just for that. This applies to because like the Greeks were arguing about this stuff too, right? And it's not like they had great arguments either.
Yeah. It's really only like Brahmin traditions that have interesting arguments, I think.
Also, yeah, that's a good point, Sumami. Just giving them the whole foods, just giving them the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunate. Anyway, let's continue. Say the good and the wicked are not equal, though the abundance of the wicked may impress you.
Well, yeah, the abundance of the wicked has been impressing me recently.
They're everywhere.
So reverence God, O possessor of intellect, that you may prosper. You would be a lot more successful and a lot happier if you believed in God.
I get told that a lot. It's probably false because I know a hell of a lot of people that believe in God and are just not
depressed.
doing great. Yeah.
Suppose
that
it were true that you would be ridiculously happier if you believed in God.
Yeah, if I kept lying to myself, I would be happier.
Is that justification to believe in God?
Nope.
No, it's not reasonable justification.
And also, it's not like we even really have the choice, right? Because in a lot of cases, God seems to just say, no, this person is not allowed to believe.
Unbelievable.
The Quran holds that to be the case.
Yeah. And the thing is, they're not trying to mask it or anything. I was speaking to a Muslim on campus the other day, and he was talking to Penn guy, and he's like, yeah, God doesn't allow some people to believe. Just straight up. It's not like this. There's not like this open question to free will. It's like there are some people that just aren't allowed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're just screwed. Well, I've told people on many an occasion that belief is not a matter of choice.
I agree. Yes, not a choice.
You just simply cannot believe unbelievable things, given your epistemology.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What if you're ridiculously more happy if you smoke crack? Wow, April, good question. Maybe we should do that.
Is it worth it? Now, is it like a sin?
Is it a sin? I don't know. Good question.
Does it come from a seed-bearing herb?
I have no idea.
I think.
I have no clue.
No, I don't think it's an herb specifically. No.
I don't know, but I feel like we shouldn't be discussing this. Like what you need to make it. No, I don't think we should be talking about that.
Why don't we go into detail? We could be like Breaking Bad. We could tell everyone how to make drugs.
We could. Let's not.
Yeah. That would be irresponsible.
They have something for. Well, no, they have something for. What's it called? The Anarchist Cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
It's
The
one for
Anarchist Cookbook is like bombs.
Yeah, it's
and
bombs.
stuff,
Yeah.
which you shouldn't make bombs. Don't do it.
Definitely don't do that. Definitely don't go get yourself a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook. That would be bad.
It's an interesting oddity, but don't make bombs.
Yeah, don't make bombs.
Seriously.
Let's read the Quran.
Yep. Oh, you who believe, ask not about things which, if they were disclosed to you, would trouble you. And if you ask about them while the Quran is being sent down, they will be disclosed to you. God has pardoned this, and God is forgiving, clement.
I feel like we've seen this idea in here before.
Mm-hmm. It's a promise, right? If you ask about things while the Quran is being sent down, that is during the life of Muhammad, then naturally you would get a response. I guess this would not apply to things in modern times.
Right,
Quran
right.
is not currently
now
being
it's supposed
sent
to
down.
be just like clear to you, or that's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks. Good, yes. Good pro
Yes,
tip.
thank you, Tarb. Yeah.
Yep. A people before you asked about these things, then there came to be disbelievers therein. So
I don't
who's the
believe it.
people before you specifically? Verse 102 mentions a people before you who asked similar questions, leading them to become disbelievers. There's several examples in the Quran of earlier prophets being questioned disingenuously or inappropriately by their followers. The Israelites tell Moses, show us God openly, and then they're seized by thunderbolts. Israelites ask for a king. God appoints Saul for them. They proceed to question his qualifications. Moses relates the Israelites God's commands as to slaughter a cow, rather, and they respond by asking a series of questions about the exact nature of the cow to be slaughtered in a manner that suggests an inappropriate distrust of Moses. Like the question about the Hajj mentioned above in this commentary, which I didn't reference. Okay. So obviously this is supposed to be a reference to the Jews, therefore. Right? The people before you. That would be doubting
Or
Jews who
yeah,
didn't follow the prophets.
and it's kind of like talking about the it's supposed to be, or has been, it looks like, interpreted as referencing the simplicity of these works.
Mhm.
Because one of the I keep hearing this claim that it's like supposed to be like this very simple kind of faith to follow.
Mhm.
But like every single time they tell me about their prayer practices, I'm like, I don't know, this keeps sounding not simple. I feel like Christians have a more simple prayer than them.
No, it's absurdly complex.
And the thing is, even for understanding some of these verses, I mean, maybe, again, I keep saying this, it would be better to understand this in Arabic because it is probably a little clearer that way. But it still would not be 100% clear. Because
Only
even
slightly. And there's disagreements within traditions. And in
True,
fact,
yeah.
like the way
yeah, that's
that,
the other thing. Like, why are there any disagreements if it's supposed to be so goddamn clear?
the way that
yeah.
the commentaries present things, pay attention, right? Because when I
Right, yeah.
point things out, oftentimes it is specifically to reference some kind of hadith or something
Yeah.
that pops up in the commentary. And the only way that you can understand the verse in the way that you would, like, assuming that the commentary is representing like a tradition of Islam,
That would make sense. Yeah.
you could only come to that understanding with extra Quranic references.
Yeah.
You could not ever come to that conclusion just based on sola scriptura Quran reading.
Yeah, you know it's actually kind of funny. I was reading a book on the Cosmic Mountain earlier. Well, I guess it was partially about the Cosmic Mountain. So actually, I think this is I think Robert Miller in his book, The Dragon, the Mountain, and the Nations. That's the name of the book. I think it's him, or it may have been some other author, but they point out it's either that book or the book by Richard Clifford. But one of them points out that, like, if you just read like these biblical texts straight up, you don't get like the feeling of like any references to a cosmic mountain. This is stuff that scholars have reconstructed that now makes a lot, like, you read it in a different way in light of that. And like, I think the stuff is still there, right? It's not like the evidence for you know going back to this myth of the defeat of this cosmic dragon or this primordial dragon is like, it's not like it goes away, because there are plenty of places where it pops up.
Yeah.
But our ability to reconstruct it or find parts of the biblical corpus that are related to it are kind of influenced by our a priori knowledge of this motif.
Right. There's essentially a projection that occurs from the reader onto the material.
Yeah.
And you have to assume in many cases that these would not be in the minds of people who were alive during the times that these traditions were transmitted. Like, they did not have Joseph Campbell's
Right, yeah.
like hero's journey literature out there.
Right. It would have been interpreted totally differently. And the thing is, the only way to understand a text is through the eyes of the author.
Right. And they probably wouldn't even have that much knowledge of religious traditions in the immediate surrounding area.
Yeah, because I was there's an archaeology, kind of like an archaeology related book on this. It's more about epigraphy. That I was reading about this, where specifically in this part of the world, in the, I think, what's it called, the Hijra, right? Like, that's the area.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the area. So in that
stretch between Mecca and Medina.
Yeah, like along that coast, yeah. So in that part of the world, like, from reading the Quran, we get the idea that, like, many of the people, like, it was mostly like, you know, pagan, very polytheistic, right? But the thing is, from the inscriptions of that time period, they were mostly monotheists. It was mostly Jews and Christians.
Right.
So, like, yeah, of course, paganism still existed. They were still around. But from the available inscriptions, it's mostly monotheistic traditions.
Yes, mostly.
Yeah.
But not entirely.
Right, yeah, of course.
Let me continue on for a little bit. God is not established Bahira or Saiba or Wasila or Ham, but those who disbelieve fabricate lies against God, and most of them do not understand.
Yeah,
I don't
so
understand.
there's a bunch
understand.
of, yeah, there's a bunch of these, and I do have some commentary on this. So the first one, Bahira, right? So yeah, the liberation of certain animals in honor of idols was a practice among the Arabs, and as Islam uprooted every vestige of idolatry, this practice is condemned here. Bahira, from Bahara, meaning he cut or slit, means a she-camel having her ear slit. When a she-camel, according to some, also a ewe or a she-goat, had brought forth 5 or 7 or 10 young ones, the last of these, if a male, was slaughtered, but if a female, her ear was slit. According to others, it was the mother, she
Yeah,
being
yeah.
also exempted from slaughter and
some
from carrying
reports
burdens.
that the Bahira referred to a female camel who had borne 5 offspring, the 5th of which, according to some, had to be a male.
And then there's Sa'iba from Saba, which means it ran of itself, signifies any beast left to pasture without attention. So this seems like these are things you cannot sacrifice.
Yeah, but this says Sa'iba generally referred to a female camel that was consecrated to the gods voluntarily by its owner as a supplicatory offering for overcoming illness, for protection on a journey, or as a means of giving thanks for some good fortune.
Okay.
Other reports that Sa'iba may have referred to a slave that was freed completely. One for all ties to the former master had been all severed.
Oh, what's interesting. Okay, so this translator actually uses the words here. He says, like those of a slit ear, referring to that one camel. Then it just says she camel. Or this translation kind of sucks. Who instituted superstitions like those of a slit ear she camel or a she camel, let loose for free pasture or idle sacrifices for twin births in animals, or stallion camels freed from work.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this says the Wasila was either a female camel who had given birth to many female offspring, particularly valuable for milk,
What's this here? She goat.
or a camel who had given birth to a male and a female offspring. Ham, the
What's this
only
here? Okay.
reference to a male camel among the 4, refers to the male camel who had sired many offspring,
Interesting.
or
This one.
whose offspring had been sired in a generation of another generation of offspring, and so was allowed to graze freely and could not be ridden or made to carry any burden. So
Is it-
like an
it's-
elder.
It's interesting that you say that though, because this is this is referencing the animal and what they gave birth to. Wasila here, it says that means a she goat, which brought forth twins. And then Hami, hold on, from Hamahu, i.e., be prohibited or interdicted it, or protected or guarded it, means a stallion camel that has prohibited or interdicted his back to be used for bearing a rider or any burden.
So I want you to roll back to Surah 4,
Surah 4.
verse 119.
I'm going to see if I have that one written down. Verse 119. No, I don't. Okay.
No, because it's only going to really be relevant here and in a few other places.
Okay,
but-
so I have here Surah 4, verse 119. And I will lead them astray and give them false hopes and prompt them to slit the ears of cattle.
Yes. This is Satan
I see. Okay.
leading people astray, prompting false hopes.
Giving them this pagan practice.
Yes, giving them this pagan practice, but God has not established it. Much clearer now. And when it is said unto them, come unto that which God has sent down and unto the messenger, they say, sufficient for us is that which we have found our fathers practicing. What? Even if their fathers knew not and were not rightly guided?
I like how it just says, what?
What?
It says, what?
Like, that's whack.
It's almost exactly like they're saying that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty whack, though.
Oh, you who believe, you have charge of your own souls.
Oh,
Use-
sorry. This one's better yet. What even if their fathers did not know anything and were not guided? That's a little better.
Oh, you who believe, you have charge of your own souls. He who is astray cannot harm you if you're rightly guided. Unto God shall be your return altogether, and he shall inform you of what you used to do. O you who believe, the witness between you, when death approaches one of you, At the time of the bequest shall be 2 just men among you, or 2 from among other than yourselves, if you're traveling upon the earth when death befalls you. Detain the 2 of them after the prayer, and let them both swear by God. If you doubt them, we will not sell it for any price, though he were a kinsman, nor will we conceal the witness of God, for then we would surely be among the sinners.
So there, yeah, a few things here for this. So firstly, ordinarily this oath should be decisive and the matter must rest here. But if it gets known that the oath was false, other evidence may be taken, as in the next verse. But before we get to the next verse, it does say here that well, actually, maybe you should read the next verse. That might actually be important.
All right.
It seems like all of these are referencing the next verse. So,
but if it is discovered that the 2 of them are guilty of sin, then 2 others shall stand in their place from those most entitled as claimants, and swear by God, indeed, our witness is truer than their witness, and we have not transgressed, for then we would surely be among the wrongdoers.
okay. So yeah, the following story is related in connection with this verse. 2 brothers, both Christians. Okay. So I wonder if he's going to say where this is from. The following story is related to in connection with the verse. 2 brothers, both Christians, Tamim Dari and Adi, were entrusted by their dying Muslim companion Budail in Syria with certain property to be made over his relatives on their return to Medina. The 2 brothers, however, stole a cup of silver, making over the remaining property. The relatives found a complete list disclosing the existence of a stolen cup of silver as being part of the original property, and thus the evidence of the Christian brothers was shown to be false. The story abundantly proves that so late as the revelation of this chapter, Muslim and Christian relations were still friendly. It further demonstrates that the evidence of the followers of an alien religion is admissible according to the Holy Quran.
Okay.
And then, yeah, the rest of this is pretty average stuff.
Yeah. Thus, it is more likely that they will bear true witness, or fear that their oaths will be countered by oaths thereafter. And reverence God and listen. God guides not iniquitous people. All right, I'm going to hand it off to you, Lawrence, starting at verse 109.
Sounds good. I'll get to that. I'm going to be reading from Syed Reynolds. It's just an easier translation to read. The day God will gather the apostles and say, "What was the response given to you?" They will say, "We have no knowledge. Indeed, you know best all that is unseen." That seems like a cop-out of some sorts. I'm going to read the next verse, and then there's quite a lengthy comment here. When God will say, "O Jesus, Son of Mary, remember my blessing upon you and upon your mother, when I strengthened you with the Holy Spirit, so you would speak to the people in the cradle and in adulthood. And when I taught you the book and wisdom, the Torah and the Evangel," or I guess that would be the gospel, and when you would create from clay create from clay the form of a bird with my leave.
Infancy gospel,
and we saw this one time in the Quran already, Surah 2. And you would breathe into it, and it would become a bird with my leave, and you would heal the blind and the leper with my leave, and you would raise the dead with my leave. That's gospel stuff. And when I held off the evil of the children of Israel from you, when you brought them clear proofs, where at the, I don't know, he didn't really help him at the end there.
No.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no. That's right, because they believe that he wasn't actually crucified.
Right.
Yeah.
It only appeared so.
Then he didn't do that whole miraculous rising
The
thing.
evil of the children of Israel from you when you brought them clear proofs, whereat the faithless among them said, "This is nothing but plain magic." Now the commentary here, the comment just says pseudo Matthew, but this is all like some of the stuff we've seen in other sections, right? Like we can piece it together from the Gospels, from the infancy Gospel, and from earlier on in the Quran.
But apparently also pseudo Matthew.
It says, on this see. Okay, so I'm gonna go check his commentary on this particular surah. But that stuff's about Mary. That's why.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. But either way, like all this stuff is pieced together from other traditions as well. So I'm currently seeing if
it's
I have
about
anything
the
else here.
Day of Judgment, but here it addresses nearly the remainder of the surah. God addresses Jesus specifically regarding his mission and the action of his followers. So this is God speaking to Jesus.
Yeah. That's what he would be saying to him.
When he opens with, "O Jesus, Son of Mary."
Yeah.
And this is going to be much of the remainder of the surah.
Yeah, and it does seem like that first verse was asking like the apostles about like how other people received their message.
Mm-hmm.
That was there, and their response is like, "Well, you're the only one that really knows. Like, you know their hearts and stuff like that." So 111. And when I inspired the disciples, saying, "Have faith in me and my apostle," they said, "We have faith. Be witness that we have submitted to God."
So this is, check for reference, 352 through 53. So I'm gonna roll back.
Tell you what, while you check that, I'm going to read a comment here. So this is on 111, where when they say that in this translation it's a little bit different. It says, they said, "We have faith, and do thou bear witness that we bow to God as Muslims." So they're claiming here that they are Muslims. This says that the "thou" and "do thou," you, would refer to Jesus, who's being addressed by his disciples.
352, the apostles say, "We are submitters," at
Right.
one point.
Right. Okay.
Which would be, "We are Muslims," right? Here also translated, "We are submitters." So it seems to reaffirm what appears in a previous verse. Jesus' apostles testify they are Muslims, that is, submitters unto God. Although their assertion there is followed by a statement in 354 that they plotted. In this verse, God speaks in the first person to state that he inspired the apostles to believe.
Oh yeah, so this argument that we always hear about Jesus being a Muslim, his apostle being Muslim. So they kind of go back to like, well, if he's if he submits to God, then he's a Muslim, because that's what the word means, right? So this, I'm not sure if you like have the name of a fallacy at the top of your head or anything, but this was a good example that I thought of. So you know what the word "seek" means?
Tell me.
Okay, well, it means like learner, or I guess seeker of truth. Or student. So if any of us are ever seekers of truth or learners, we're
Then-
seek.
Oh, yeah.
So you could literally make this argument to them about that. Like, well, if you ever do these things, then you're Sikh. Congrats. Welcome to Sikhism. Like, it's the same kind of silly wordplay.
Yeah. If you ever considered that what you were doing, it's just not that important, well, now you're a nihilist.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Perhaps in Arabic the word is literally Muslim.
I have no idea.
And like,
Probably, but
well, that's the thing. It's a term that would apply to many people in the biblical tradition.
sure, yeah.
Who wouldn't necessarily describe themselves as Muslims in any like modern context.
They would not at all. So it's a ridiculous argument.
Yes. Continue on.
Will do. I think I just read 111. When the disciples said, "Oh, Jesus, son of Mary, can your Lord send down to us a table from the sky?" Oh, this is why this verse is called the table. Said he, "Be wary of God if you be faithful."
This is why in certain RPGs, if you pray for food, it can send a table with a feast on it.
Yeah, so they're asking for food. Yeah.
Which is something that happens in the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, God sent manna from heaven.
And he does multiply the food for them at various points.
And there was that, well, I guess it was in a vision, right, where I think it's Paul, where he sees like this, it's not a table, really. It was like a cloth, right, and had a bunch of food on it, stuff that he can now eat. I'm pretty sure it's Paul.
I suppose.
Maybe it's in Acts or something, but yeah, he had this, it's the new dietary laws, right? Like you don't have to be like kosher. But either way, that it wasn't like that was a vision, that wasn't actual food. But continuing on here, I mean, Jesus, gave people food, right? The feeding of the 5,000 and all that. Anyways, on to 113. They said, "We desire to eat from it, and our hearts will be at rest. We shall know that you have told us the truth, and we will be a witness. We will be among witnesses to it." So that, I'm going to guess this isn't taken well because this is a way to test God.
Yeah,
I'm going to guess this
essentially
isn't taken
what
well.
the commentary that I have says, basically, that they're trying to test God. They're trying to get him to do something special. Which is not good.
Yeah, it does seem like Jesus is going to have words for them.
Yeah.
And then God's going to have words for them too, it says here. Either way, so 114. Jesus, son of Mary, said Jesus, son of Mary, "Oh God, our Lord." Oh, so he's actually doing it.
Yeah.
Send down to us a table from heaven to be a festival for us, for the first ones among us and the last ones, and as a sign from you. Wait, hold on, what? Yeah, for the first ones among us and the last ones. Okay, yeah, and provide for us, for you are the best of providers. God said, "I will indeed send it down to you. But should any of you disbelieve after this, I will indeed punish him with a punishment such as I do not punish anyone in all creation."
Damn.
Okay, so this is so testing God is apparently okay as a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But it says here, so who it's specifically for, right? It's supposed to be for so the earliest believers, right? And also the last one. So is this supposed to last for all time? Is that what they're saying? That this one miracle is supposed to be like enough? Or are they saying like everyone gets to ask once?
Well, they serve as a
Everybody
witness
gets one. It's a Spider-Man
for the
thing.
first ones to the last ones, right? As the last ones can reference these first ones who experienced it.
Right, yeah, they could totally do that. So I am wondering, because it is a test of God. So I'm wondering what the commentaries do end up saying about this. It says here in verse 111, the disciples of Jesus receive a direct revelation from God. This seems to contradict the Islamic doctrine that only the prophets receive direct revelations. Hence, Tafsir al-Jalalain explains that is, "I commanded them by the tongue of Jesus." Interesting. So there was another interpretation of this. But
some connect this with the Eucharist.
With the Eucharist. Okay, interesting. So the episode of the table has the disciples make a demand for a sign from Jesus. It is often imagined to be connected to the gospel passages on the multiplication of the loaves and fish, of course, or in Acts 10, in which a sheet filled with animals for Peter. See, I told you. Fuck it. Oh, my God. Okay.
Oh, no.
Comes down from the sky. In fact, it is closely connected to the discourse on the bread of life in John 6. As in the episode of the table in the Quran, in John 6, the followers of Jesus demand a sign, saying, "What sign will you yourself do? The sight of which will make us believe in you or not." Yeah, so it's that test. Got it. In John 6:30. They then refer to manna. John 6 is thus connected with Psalm 78, which laments the infidelity of the Israelites in general. In Islamic tradition, the disciples are held to be faithful followers of Jesus. However, this passage, which makes the disciples similar to the crowds of John 6, suggests that they are less than faithful. See, I don't know, because this is, we get this quite a couple times in biblical texts, where we have not just this thing in John 6, but also, after, what's his name? Thomas, right? Don't be a doubting Thomas.
Mhm.
Hey.
Yeah, it's because
not cool, man.
yeah, sorry. It's because like they're asking to question. They're asking something, and it's like they should just have faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Aquinas.
Sure, yeah. And there's there's a whole lot here that can be gained, but Said Reynolds is more of like a liberal commentator anyways. Let's see what these more conservative commentators have to say. So that was what, 115?
Mm-hmm. Why don't you
Well,
it out?
Trying, but these pages are giving me a aneurysm.
What did you do?
I came in it.
Oh, jeez.
How crude.
Yeah, I know, right?
Come on.
Awful, completely terrible.
Now it's that kind
it
of
says
channel.
here, this is because remember it ends with like, "I'll punish them harder than they've ever been punished," which is kind of wacky. You know what's really weird? This isn't. There's not that much here. It says here that this is a forceful allegory. It is a wicked generation that asks for signs and miracles. Usually they are not. They're not given, but where they are, the responsibility of those who ask for them is increased. If after that they reject faith, yeah, so like it's worse once you already have gotten the proof. But I'm still, I guess, with the idea of where you're allowed to like leave once and come back.
Right.
Maybe it's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. But I guess, again, it depends on the interpretation. Yeah, I could totally see the interpretation of this as like, oh, well, this was just like a one-time thing. You're supposed to trust them.
Right.
I could also
There's
see
not
that.
much commentary, though.
Yeah. All right. Continuing on here. And when God will say, "Oh, Jesus, son of Mary, was it you who said to the people, 'Take me and my mother for gods besides God?' He will say, 'Immaculate are you. It does not behoove me to say what I have no right to. Had I said it, you would certainly have known it. You know whatever is in myself, and I do not know what is in yourself. Indeed, you know best all that is unseen.'"
So, again, very clearly, not only denying the Trinity, but denying any kind of identification between Jesus and God whatsoever.
Right. No identification at all. He's like, "Oh, you know everything. I don't know anything compared to you. I don't know your mind."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's very much giving it up to God. But then again, yeah, why is God asking? But either way, the polemic here being against Christians, specifically Catholics, right? Because it includes Mary in there.
Right.
Which Mary has a much more prominent position in the history of Catholicism.
Yes, Catholicism is basically a Marian cult.
In many ways, yeah, it kind of is. That's not totally wrong. So, continuing on here. This is still Jesus talking. "I did not say to them anything except what you had commanded me to say. Worship God, my Lord and your Lord. And I was a witness to them so long as I was among them. But when you had taken me away, you yourself were watching over them, and you are witness to all things. If you punish them, they are indeed your servants. But if you forgive them, you are indeed the Almighty, the All-Wise." Hopefully, not hopefully, maybe the punishment is thought to be like, proof enough. But at the same time, this idea of him being taken away again, right? Like he averted death.
Right.
I'm currently, what was the other section that we read that had him not die at the end? Because I remember we did read like the one reference, right? I don't remember what that was.
There was only one reference though.
Right, yeah.
And it said there that there was no other true reference to it. Here's something. The Asherites, who refused to limit God's freedom to assign reward or punishment by making it contingent upon human actions, consider his possible forgiveness of Christian errors of belief as fully within the scope of his just action and his wisdom. Jesus' suggestion that God may forgive his followers, while also leaving the matter of their punishment or forgiveness completely in God's hands, indicates the proper manner in which prophets intercede for their people. And some consider this verse a proof that God may accept the intercessions of prophets on behalf of their sinful followers.
Right, yeah, I could see that. Also, chat's very funny today. Chrissy, why are the pages sticky? I came to the Lord. That's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is pretty solid.
Wonderful. Continue on, Lawrence.
Will do. So 119. And then I do have some, well, I would say it is lengthy commentary, but I feel like we've covered a lot of this.
Yeah.
Right.
God will say, this day truthfulness shall benefit the truthful. For them there will be gardens with streams running in them to remain in them forever. God is pleased with them, and they are pleased with him. That is a great success.
So, commentators consider God's statement here to be the final part of his address to Jesus, either immediately after his ascension or more likely on the day of judgment. This verse concludes the account of God's reckoning with the prophets and their followers in verses 109 through 18, with a promise of bliss in the hereafter for those who are truthful. This reward for truthfulness is said to apply only to those who are truthful in their earthly lives when it was a matter of choice. None can avoid being truthful on the day of judgment, not even Satan, but they're not rewarded for it.
So, what? I don't, okay. So this is, remember that Maulana Muhammad Ali is a much more conservative and apologetic commentator here.
I forgot.
I'm telling you. From this description of Mary being taken for a god by the Christians, some Christian critics of the Quran conclude that the doctrine of the Trinity, according to the Quran, consists of the three persons, God, Jesus, and Mary. But this is an absolutely unwarranted conclusion. And again, he goes into this defense, so I don't actually care. It would not be that view of the Trinity. Mm-hmm. It does not necessitate that. However, there is I think a pretty significant, a pretty interesting note, I would say, from Gabriel Said Reynolds here. According to some scholars, verse 116 suggests that the Quran was influenced by the presence in the Arabian Peninsula of heretical Christians. Well, maybe-ish. Well, I'll get to that. Who believed in Mary's divinity. Some scholars justify this idea with the notion that in the Byzantine period, the Arabian desert was something like a refuge for Christians who disagreed with Chalcedonian doctrine. Hold on. Others note the reference in Epiphanius's heresiographical work. So he's writing about heresies. Panarion, which is, I think it has I was actually reading it not that long ago. I was reading specifically for one cult though. There are 50, anywhere between 50 and 80. The numbering gets kind of weird depending on the translation. Between 50 and 80 different heresies that are listed. Mm-hmm. So it's a crazy amount that he's talking about. But according to his work, a group of women in the Arabian desert who considered Mary a goddess and offered her cakes of bread for which reason Epiphanius names this group so he calls them the Collyridians, which is from Greek Collyridia, which which means like the cakes, or that bread. None of this speculation is necessary. Verse 116. Yeah, exactly. He goes into the Trinity stuff. But it is during, or not that long before the writing of the Quran. I mean, like maybe like, well, I guess it's a couple hundred years beforehand. There was this big debate about whether or not you want to call.
Yes, I remember calling this out at one point while we were covering the New Testament. So this is from Epiphanius. And who but women are the teachers of this? Women are unstable, prone to error, and mean-spirited.
Mean-spirited.
Yeah.
You wouldn't sleep with Epiphanius.
Yeah. For certain women,
Rude.
decorate a barber's chair, square seat, spread a cloth on it, set a bread on it, and offer it in Mary's name on the certain day of the year, and all partake of the bread. I discuss parts of this rite in my letter to Arabia. Now, however, I speak plainly of it, and pray to God give the best refutation of it that I can, so as to grub out the roots of this and be able to help cure certain people of this madness. Let no one eat of the error which has arisen on Mary's account. Even though the tree is lovely, it is not for food. And even though Mary is all fair and is holy and held in honor, she is not to be worshipped.
Right, yeah. So this is so one of the issues that may have caused this was the Nestorian controversy, where you would have it was basically the debate between whether or not Mary should be called the son of, or sorry, not the son, the mother of God or the mother of Christ.
Yeah, he does sound like an incel, April.
Yeah, he does.
Epiphanius hates women.
He's like,
I guess.
Women.
Very
exactly
clearly.
what he's like, yeah.
Like, who but women would teach? Women are just the worst.
They're awful, yeah.
It's so bad.
So this stuff does not necessitate that they're talking about this. This heresy would probably be a small group, but remember that since this is coming from an opponent, these all might be misinterpretations of a certain group. Like maybe he just misunderstood what they were saying.
Maybe
they're just using different like phrases to refer to the same thing. Yeah. So that
or maybe they were like a goddess cult that had Marian things.
Yeah, maybe
they were like Catholics.
Maybe, yeah. So I think I have one more verse left. Yeah, one more verse. So 120. To God belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth and whatever there is in them, and he has power over all things.
Very clearly things that we have seen before in the Quran.
100
So,
times, yeah.
What did you think of Surah 5?
Well, let's see about right, nothing new under the sun. So let's see.
I think you should note that some of the most clear statements that we have against Trinitarianism and against the divinity of Jesus pop up in these last few verses in the Quran and Surah.
Oh, right. That was actually
the
something.
worst I've ever seen it, guys. Ruben, just look at this.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad.
Which one should I pick, guys?
Wow, that's awful.
Can I pick one that's not this, please?
Yeah, scroll up. There you go.
All right, there's two more, and then there's some more.
It doesn't show up when we pin it anyway.
I know, but
So,
I guess this is pointless.
No, Duke, do the Daddy's Milkers ones. He's looking at the shirts.
Said that no one ever sees these.
So I still like clicking on Daddy Milkers.
I'm clicking it, and
Great.
you guys tell me if you see this thing.
yeah, does it
Yeah.
show
And
up
I'm gonna
to you
do
guys?
So we just pinned
To
it.
see
Paul.
the pinned product, everyone?
Yeah, just to see if you even see it.
pull it.
Maybe
We're
it
gonna
shows up.
pull it.
Maybe it shows up at the end of stream. Maybe we'll check that.
Well,
But either way, I'm
alright, well,
currently looking at some of the notes for like the anti-Trinitarian stuff. Okay. So this is, I found it here. there's stuff about multiple partners. And then I'm going to just say 116 onwards is what we have there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I added that to the list. But anyways, let's take a look at some of the interesting stuff that we talked about in Surah 5.
Oh, yes.
So we did have I also started noting like some of just the logical inconsistencies that pop up from time to time, like the circular reasoning in verse 4. There is let's see. Oh, right. So a verse that was possibly abrogated would have been like, we cursed them and hardened their hearts. So this again would be pointing back to the idea that some people are just not, they literally can't be saved. Like God will not allow them to be saved. What did I write here? Prophets of the gap. I think it was.
The gap
study
between
Bible.
Islam and Christianity. There was a period.
Oh, right. There was a period where there was where were the prophets?
Yeah. And
so right.
The study Quran referenced some particular one.
Yeah. Here's what interesting one. I actually might want to do like a research like a study on this one myself. The misunderstanding of Cain and Abel.
Yes.
How they have a completely different story for them.
Completely different.
And they have them say things that they didn't say, all that stuff. Yeah. Yes. How there was like the inclusion of like the crow, right? Which doesn't pop up anywhere.
Right, but it does pop up in extra biblical
or like
literature
or
in some
I think a
ways.
different animal pops up in
Different
extra.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty interesting. Oh, right. The idea of like different a different book for different groups. So like how the Jews are still meant to follow the Torah, how the Christians are meant to follow the gospel, how everyone gets a different book, but like the criticism was like they're not even following their own things, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But also they're criticized for not following Muhammad.
Well, yeah.
And so are you supposed to follow one or are you supposed to follow the other?
Well, maybe if you follow
maybe
one,
the
it's supposed
implication is that if you're following correctly, then you should recognize the prophethood of Muhammad.
Sure, yeah, that is the implication. You're right. And then, of course, the thing from today about testing God and, like, him giving the people a table of food, which he does, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it's unclear if people are allowed to test God after that, or if that is supposed to be taken as the evidence.
Very unclear.
Like, can I do that? Mm-hmm. Can I test God?
And we have, of course, the explicitly anti-Marian stuff.
Right, yeah. And that's kind of included in, like, the whole no other gods beside me, anti-Trinity stuff.
So, all things considered, I think that this surah was among one of the more exciting and compact that we've run into so far.
That's right. Hold on. Jesus not getting crucified.
Right. That's also in here.
Yeah. So
where he's not crucified.
It says that he was like taken away.
It appears to be the case that he's crucified.
Yeah. So I think that I'm currently checking where that verse is because I was looking for where that was on my sheet and I couldn't see it, but now I see it. Taken me away. It looks like that is in 117. Yeah, 117. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this in this last section, especially.
Yes, there is a lot. And it's very clearly like a refutation of Christianity in the Islamic worldview.
I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is neat.
So hold on. There was hold on. What do we have here? Reference or verse 47. I wonder if I wrote that down. Verse 47 was part of the whole different books for different groups thing. But it says here that there's an appendix on it. The Tawrat is frequently referred to in the Quran. It is, and okay, so I'm not going to totally get into this. It is long, but there is Torah.
Yeah.
So it's an evaluation of like the word Torah. Okay.
So next time we'll be covering the beginning of Surah 6. And Surah 6 is longer than Surah 5, which is uncommon in the Quran, but does happen.
And it says here, this is a second appendix on the Injil, which is the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and then there's Surah 6, which is, what do we have here? The cattle.
Yes, not the cow.
That says cattle, yeah. Al-Anam.
Because we already read the cow.
Yes, we did. The cattle.
Now we're reading the cattle.
So that is next on the agenda for next week. There is a short introduction here, but
which we'll get into next time.
Yeah, we will. I'll also pull up the page for this
very clearly. All right. So while you're pulling that up, hey, check out our Patreon. Check out our Amazon wish list.
Yeah, wish list. There's a lot of cool books on there.
You could be a member, like some people in our chat. You can see April.
That's right. Hey, look at what April has. She has a golden calf, and one day that thing is going to be a beautiful cosmic overlord.
Yes, one day. Watch it blossom like a butterfly or moth.
Or moth. Which moths are great.
Moths are superior.
Yeah, they're probably better.
I
do prefer Venomoth as a Pokemon to Butterfree.
Yeah, it is cooler.
Yeah, that's definitely
But that's not the choice you get. The choice you get is Butterfree or Beedrill.
Right, yeah.
Nah, man, you get Dustox or you get that other thing. Beautifly?
Yeah, no. Dustox is the middle evolution. It's the cocoon one.
Mm-hmm.
There's beautiful. Oh, wait, no. There's
They're both cocoons.
wait, hold on. What's? Yeah, what is the other one? Is that Dustox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the last evolution?
Dusclops.
Oh, Silcoon. I'm thinking of Silcoon. Silcoon's the middle one.
Silcoon or Cascoon.
Yeah, the first one is actually the split.
Wurmple.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all Wurmple.
Okay.
Wurmple
Yeah,
goes
all
All right,
fucking
well, that's
Wurmple.
enough Poke Talk.
Yeah,
Let's say some goodbyes.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll see you next
See ya.
time for
Bye.
more
On
of this
Wednesday.
stuff. We'll see you then.
Bye.